New York City, my hometown, wants to stop the spread of manspreading. What is manspreading? Well, we've got some photos that'll illuminate you. Manspreading, yeah, there it is. It is when these guys, it's usually about guys, which is why they're calling it manspreading, really sitting
really
with the legs really, really wide. Look at the look on his face, too. He's very excited that, yeah, and it's putting your bags on other seats or on the floor, blocking off. Now, that one I thought was particularly odd because there's nobody else near him. So that time it's okay. But generally this feeling of New York City, the subways are very overpacked. Right now they're building the 2nd Avenue subway, which they've been trying to do for like 20 years or something. But especially on the east side, the subways are always packed. And these guys that just sit out there and bags everywhere and all that stuff. So they're trying to stop it. And there's a new poster that is telling people what to do. Dude, stop the spread, please. It's a space issue. I thought this was kind of interesting because it is getting a little blowback. People are like, they're interfering with our rights. We can do whatever we want, blah, blah, blah. And, common courtesy. My sister is 7 months pregnant in New York City. I was Skyping with her last night. She was telling me how half the time guys don't even get up. She's like extremely pregnant, big girl. And they still it's just. So I just thought this was kind of, do we need to litigate these things, or is it just common decency?
It's just rude and selfish. I mean, if I were to put my purse on the seat and my jacket on the seat, you would ask me to move them, and you would be right to do so because I don't own the train. It's a public space, and I should do what is fair and allotted for me.
Yeah. What's the worst thing you ever saw done on the New York City subway, or on any sort of transit thing? Because I've seen some pretty terrible.
My favorite thing that's ever happened on public transportation is a bunch of kids fighting over a picture in Word Up magazine of Chris Brown.
What?
I don't know. That's incidental, but
that probably happens
awesome.
Every day. Though.
It was like, what are they fighting over? That's my Chris Brown poster. That's just him going. But on public transportation, I've definitely seen videos of like drunken people and I've seen personally like drunken people passed out, sprawled on the back seat, like 3 across, and then afterwards they had to pull the person out of the thing, like totally drunk, but. Other than that, like I had to demonstrate for my girlfriend yesterday. I was showing her this story, and it's a real thing. Yeah. Like I can't sit with my legs like this unless I do like a big
You're doing
flippy.
it now.
No, I'm not.
You are.
I'm pulling it together, but I just did the flippy. Before, if you don't do the flippy,
Is this a test?
Wait, what are you saying? So you're saying when you sit down naturally, your legs fly out.
A lot of the photos in here are bullshit.
Those were excessive.
A lot of these are bullshit, but like I'm sitting like this, so my legs are going out to the side.
But that's not manspreading.
But like
that's just...
I have to do a whole like series of motions to do that. So if there is someone that needs to sit, I'm gonna do all those motions. It's gonna look weird, but then I'll get in position where I can sit like with my legs, parallel to each other. That said, I think the whole idea of we're gonna put up signs, that helps, but you can still like look at someone. I mean, this is people in public transportation trying to say like, don't make me look at them and go, can you please let me sit down?
Right, so that's why I thought this story was interesting, because look, it's not a law. They're not passing a law. You're not gonna get fined. If you spread your junk, you're not getting fined. Although one time, actually, speaking of spreading junk, I did see a guy, like an old man in running shorts, and he had no underwear, and his balls were just literally his old balls were just on the subway thing. Yeah, just on the chair, just like that. And I don't think he knew. Like, I don't think he was a pervert or a freak.
He just had
old balls. He was cooling off his old balls. But actually, that wasn't even the worst thing that I saw on the subway. The worst thing I ever saw on the subway was on a packed New York City morning commute. There was a woman clipping her fingernails. I mean, literally, they were just flying. Everyone's looking at her. And in a weird way, I admired her.
No.
I was like, if I could ever be so detached and not give a fuck to the point that this woman, I give way too much of a fuck. This woman doesn't give a fuck, and she's getting shit done.
It's like,
I'm walking around with long-ass nails. Yeah.
This is just... be considerate. Think of others besides yourself for once, especially if you're in public. That's what the sign is for. Try and not... be a nuisance.
Right.
You're not the only one here.
In LA, there's a new line. There's a new like expo line or something, and people on this stretch have never used light rail before because it's new. It hadn't gotten there. So what I saw when it first opened up was a lot of people that are like the opposite. Like everyone's staying as far away from each other as possible, and like they're like looking around. It's this new thing. I'm afraid of everything here. But if you go to a city with like a lot of people on public transportation, it's the opposite. It's just everyone is so like in it, and their personal space ideas are just completely out the window. And it's as though they don't notice other people around them.
Yeah, if you don't live in New York City and you've never been to New York City and you want to know a little bit about the craziness of the subway, find the episode of Seinfeld that Elaine is trapped. They're all on the subway in that episode, but Elaine is by herself trapped on the subway, and it's a perfect example of how crazy the subway is. But my final thought on this is that how much of this do you think is just a culture of sort of the selfie and our phones? Like, we're all so into our own shit all the time that I don't think people really even realize when they're in a public space like you're describing, they're in a transit thing, and they're so still in it, so they don't even realize what their body's doing. You see this all the time, videos of people falling into fountains because they have their heads down. Like, it's just part of that culture that we're constantly in now.
We're definitely in our own shit all the time, but if you want to get in other people's literal shit, ride the subway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we're definitely able now. It used to be you get like a magazine or a paper, and you're doing that. And then but everyone knows who's around them, and you do the thing where you like turn away and lean so that the other person like backs up and gets away from you. But
close your legs if you're on the subway. That's it.